What's up, everybody? Yes, indeed, man, I am back. You guys already know what time it is with this cat. I don't talk about it, I stay about it. Well, anyways, people, today I heard a video about, well, I actually watched a video that Mr. Dubs had dropped, and I'm going to elaborate a little bit on that. It pertains to Mr. SWIFTY Blue, and Dubs had mentioned another, I guess, a podcaster that you guys are very familiar with. I had to go dig and find out because I do not subscribe to these individuals because I just don't. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't really that hard to figure it out who he was talking about, man. You know, if you know, you know. So I'm going to elaborate on that guy too. He's a blue guy. I guess they call him the torta. If you know, you know. Well, anyways, people. But first and foremost, I got to give a shout out to all my channel members, my followers, my subscribers, and everybody that's been interacting with my channel, man. I appreciate you guys very much, man. Really, I do. More than you guys know. Eventually, I will do that surprise live. That will be in the near future, people. So just keep eye out for that. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm going to touch on today, man, it has to do with fucking fat ass. And I'm not going to totally disagree with fat ass. He has some points, but I'm not going to co-sign him. Why? Because then that just validates certain things that shouldn't be spoken on. Okay, so if you guys want to guess and speculate, because that's basically what Fat Boy did too, you know what I mean? Unless he's working with somebody, because he's definitely trying to put a jacket on fucking SWIFTY Blue. And no, SWIFTY Blue, I'm not siding with SWIFTY Blue. I don't even know the individual. I've heard his name, and I'll tell you one thing. To be honest with you, I've heard his raps, and if there was never a name put on that rap, I mean, not a face on that rap song, I would have thought he was a brother, because the boy could rap, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, that's here nor there, man, you know what I mean? So I'm not picking sides with anybody, but I tell you one thing, what Mr. Dubs should speak on, Dubs hit the nail on the head, as usual, you know what I'm saying? He put it in a very clear and a perspective that makes a lot of sense. Now, there's going to be a lot of conflicting, how should I say it? There's going to be a lot of conflicting fucking things to both sides of these stories, the way they pitched them. You know what I'm saying? But I will get to that, man. First and foremost, man, I am a fitness channel. This is a fitness channel with a twist, and the twist is I usually talk about, you know, what I'm going to talk about today is Mr. Motherfucking, what's his name, Blue Devil, and what Dubs had to say, and of course the main topic, SWIFTY Blue. But anyways, people, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, put your notification bell and all, and share this channel, man. Let's get it up to 10,000 subscribers. You know, with the 10,000 subscribers, I will start doing lives on a regular basis. I've been practicing with the lives on how they work, and I'm finally figuring it out, people. So I will be having a live in the near future. But anyways, man, if you want to get started on your fitness journey, shoot me a DM. Check out my Instagram. It's highpowerfitness, high_power_fitness_, or you could email me at highpowerfitness@yahoo.com. I'm going to be short and brief on this today because I want to get straight to the topic. And I'm going to be rambling all over the place today, people, so bear with me, you know what I mean? I wish I knew how to do it. How should I say? I wish I knew how to elaborate on content creators, what they call the reaction videos. I guess I would have to do that behind the computer. I'm not at that level yet, but man, I could elaborate so much into detail on both sides of both them content creators. You know what I mean? The pros and cons about everything. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, people, if you want to get started on that fitness journey, becoming that 10.5, shoot me a DM or email me at highpowerfitness@yahoo.com. Go check out my Instagram. Like I said, it's high_power_fitness_. I have testimonials, starter meals there. I have testimonials from team members as well as civilians. And I also have transformations in over a couple years of workout material that I have put on there myself, hitting the gym. Well, anyways, people, let's move straight to it, okay? So, Mr. Motherfucking Blue Guy, the Blue Guy, man. This guy, you know, he said he's trying to put facts out there, but he's not trying to talk about organizations, this and that. But low key, man, what he's talking about, he's validating the way certain people wiggle behind them walls. And like I've said in the past, and I've told you guys today, shit that goes on behind them walls should stay behind them walls. It ain't none of anybody's motherfucking business. You know what I mean? By you speaking on things and saying being, and you're putting it like in a subliminal way that even a deaf person could hear, is what I'm trying to say, Mr. fucking Blue Devil. You know what I mean? I'm not totally against what you said, because like you've said, you know, don't sign checks that your ass can't cash. You know, I'm a firm believer of that. You play with the devil, you knock at his door, eventually that motherfucker will answer it. If you know, you know. But I'm not going to co-sign anything because he said it into too much detail. He may not have noticed it, but I've noticed it. You know what I mean? That would be co-signing that certain organizations do exist that I truly believe that do not exist. You know, so, and like I've said in the past, people like to use titles and give themselves titles out here on social media. But one thing I will reassure you, if there were such organizations that existed behind them walls, I really don't think that they would pay much attention to the fucking individuals that are out here on social media faking the funk. You know, because at the end of the day, if you break the law and you keep on breaking it, it will catch up to you. Then you land in a world that is way different. A world that I once lived in. You know, and like I said, I won't get into intricate details about the way things go on, because like I said, it's none of anybody's fucking business the way people wiggle back there. And by you, Mr. Blue Devil, speaking the way you spoke, I understand that you did it in a you try to do it within a respectful way, but really you gave up. Like you spoke too much, and you know what I mean. I'm not gonna sit here and fucking bash you, but you know, like at the end of the day, you know, there's a lot of people out here on social media that claim they are certain things and they really aren't. They use certain titles freely, and I laugh about it when I hear it, because I lived amongst some very wise individuals. I may not have been a lifer, but during the time when I did time, you know, homies took the time to lace homies up and educate them. You know, homies made homies. They weren't there to break homies like the way it is nowadays. It's terrible, man. But anyways, like I said, what you just did by putting a jacket on this individual, and I'm going to bring it to your attention, I'm not backing up old boy, okay? I heard him from the beginning, what he used to say, and I laughed about it because the way I look at it, he was selling a product. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, each individual has to make their bed and lay in it. Okay, so I won't go no further on that, but by you putting a jacket on an individual and something isn't true, you know, you have some answering to do. You know what I mean? And I'm going to bring it to what Dubs spoke on a little bit. By you putting that jacket on that individual, putting it out here on social media, there is so many unstable motherfuckers out here on social media. Now, the information that you're putting out there, that jacket on that other individual, Mr. SWIFTY Blue, could put him in harm's way. Now, I don't know if you really sat and thought about what you said, And if you did, you just didn't give a fuck, because it makes me raise flags about why people do certain things here on social media. There's always an ulterior motive. You know, everybody has an agenda, it seems like it. And it's usually for their best benefit, to benefit themselves. They could care less about the next man. You know, I'm going to bring this just to the audience's attention. There's an individual that I spoke on in the past, Mr. Renegade Media. He speaks very freely and foolishly and recklessly. Now, compare him to what the allegations are about SWIFTY Blue. There's a way big difference. Do you think individuals are really going to trip on SWIFTY claiming he's something that he's not? Especially if he's out here in the real world. You know, if he's righteously from a barrio, and the barrio that is claimed, I'm very familiar with. I've done time with a lot of good homies from there as well. They're very well respected. You know, yeah, there would be, he would be reprimanded. Let's just keep it that way. Okay, that would become, and that's as furthest I will take it on that topic. Okay, you went a little too deep. You know what I mean? And by you throwing around that word allegedly, I trip out how people get. They think that shit excludes them from criminality or something. Like, oh, are you a hoorah? Are you a cop? And then you sound that and you wonder why you get busted. They don't fucking have to tell you. That's not gonna set you up for like, oh, this was entrapment. Come on now, man. I trip out these jailhouse lawyers and shit. That shit is it's for the birds, man. You know what I mean? Stop believing these people that try to push them narratives of how you could get away with shit. It really doesn't, man. By you just speaking on it validates shit. You know what I mean? It raises curiosity to law enforcement. Well, why would this individual even speak on this if it didn't really exist? Do you see what I'm trying to get at here? It's kind of like I'm going to give you an example, and this with myself I could do it because it was with my own personal case. When I caught my case, when I was looking at 10 years, not either the witness or the victim was able to pull me out of my lineup, pick me out of my lineup in the county jail. Okay. Now, an individual that I was with pulled state evidence on me. Yeah, a lot of homies said, nah, man, you should fucking take it to the box. I thought about it, almost bit to the jailhouse lawyers. I believe if I would have taken it to the box, I would have gotten my 10 years. But I thought to myself, and I thought outside of the box. And this is what I did. The witness nor the victim was able to identify me in my lineup. And the victim was very familiar who I was, okay? Knew me. Not on a personal level, but knew me, okay? Knew who I was, okay? But now you got to think outside the box. I take it to the box, and I'm sitting in front of a bunch of jurors. Don't you think it's going to raise the question to them jurors why that individual pulled state evidence on me and said what he said about me? There might be just that slight truth that these victims may be scared of this person. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm getting at right here? Yeah, I rambled on a lot, but I could touch on because that was my case that I dealt with. You know what I'm saying? So by you even using the allegedly thing and the way people work is basically co-signing on something is practiced the way you put it. You just put it in video game form. You know what I mean? It doesn't take a fucking rocket scientist to figure out what you're saying. You might as well have just said straight out the way certain individuals run. You know what I mean? And all bullshit aside, like I said, I don't care who you are. You shouldn't be speaking on anything that goes on behind them walls. You know what I mean? What goes on behind them walls stays behind them walls, and that's a whole different life and a whole different world there. And like Dubs said, I've said this before Dubs even had said that, because one of my people had even asked me in the past, "Hey, OG, do you ever get nervous when you go back to the joint, to the same joint that you've been to?" I said, "My boy, obviously you will always feel uneasy, not because you're in have something bad on you. It's because that life changes quite frequently in there. You might land in a joint that is no longer no good. You know what I mean? Or there could be tension. You just never know. Every joint is going to be different. Okay. Yeah, I know I said I ain't going to speak on stuff like that behind the walls, but that's very innocent right there, because I'm keeping it real. You know what I mean? But there is, how should I say? You know what? I'm not even going to touch on that. Well, anyways, now I'm going to break it down to what Mr. Dubs had spoke on. Mr. Dubs spoke on about, you know, that information getting in the wrong ears, and by you putting a jacket on the homie, and that unstable person, what I'm talking about, person that's unstable, that is struggling with mental conditions, a JCAT 5150 could take action. And if something comes up that happens, if some harm happens to Mr. Swifty Blue, which I hope nothing does come out of this, who do you think they're gonna blame? You see what I'm saying? That they're gonna try to align it together. They're gonna connect dots that don't even connect, but they will make it work. You know, as it is, those individuals, I have no idea who they are, and I don't care to know who they are. But whatever they're going through, everybody here on social media shouldn't even be speaking on this. Real shit, you know what I mean? And I don't know nothing about it, and I'm not gonna go digging into it to look on it, because I don't give a fuck about clout. You know what I mean? I'm cool with that. I'm here to promote my nutritional program, my fitness program, and to get you in the best shape of your life. And then I, elaborate a little bit on what people talk on, and that's just what I did right here. So I'm gonna bring this video to an end, man, because it's a very touchy subject. It's an ongoing case, and all I could say is, mind your own business, people. You know what I'm saying? Because no matter how you look at it, there's gonna be some consequences once the dust has settled. And that's to take it back to what Dub said as well. When something jumps off, we don't ask questions. It's kind of like what I did in the county jail when I got kicked out of Supermax because I incited a riot. And I'm speaking on that too because I was already dealt with about that. You know what I mean? I did what I felt was right during that time. And during my time would have been the right move. But this day of age, times have changed. Yes, I'm older. I'm under old school rules, old school morals. But one thing I know that never changes, no matter where you're at, is respect. You give respect, you get respect. You earn that respect. And you carry that respect with pride, people. So, but anyways, this OG does ramble on a lot, doesn't he? I'm telling you, man, I could talk on, if I had that fucking reaction video theme down, I could break down them videos, and man, we could talk for hours. You know what I mean? And I would do it in the most respectful way. I wouldn't violate anybody's privacy or anything, because like I said, at the end of the day, these organizations that people claim to be alive, I always thought it was a folk tale, and I still believe it is. They're, in my mind, they don't exist. You know what I'm saying? So stop trying to speak things to life here on social media, because it could be dangerous, man. Very dangerous. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean is, I'm not saying that anybody's going to get their wind taken or anything like that, but, you know, it could just cause problems for people that don't need any extra attention. You know what I mean? Out of sight, out of mind. Now, with that being said, man, if you want to get started on your fitness journey and become that 10.5, get them results, shoot me that DM, highpowerfitness, high_power_fitness_, or you could email me at highpowerfitness@yahoo.com. And don't you be tripping on my background right there. My lizard is on another spot. I'm trying to work on my suntan right here. That's why I'm right here in the dead sun. And that you see covered up right there is my smoker. No, not a smoker, not the 10-2. It's a smoker where my son bought me a smoker so I could cook for us. That's what I do every now and then. I'm still learning that too, just like the social media. Now, with that being said, get up and get yours. Let's do this.